Hey Trike Maniacs, what's going on? Hope everybody's doing well. Maintenance video, as I promised, on the Trike. Showing you some of the things I'm using today to work on the bike here. Paintbrush. Gosh, you guys gotta have Loctite for all the little nuts and bolts you put into your fenders and everything. Blaster. Premium synthetic multi-use lubricant. And brake clean. Two of the easiest ones out of them all. Auto parts store, you can get it there. My chain lube, I use Finish Line dry brake lubricant. There's a wet one. That's for people who get their bikes all wet. Pair of gloves. That's not what I'm doing, is getting my bike wet. You'll see later on in the video. Oily rag. Instead of spraying the bike, I spray it on the microfiber towels. Wipe it on, wipe it off. Extra tools around. Tuner for your spokes is for your valve stem and your valve. It's always good to have. Make sure it's tight. Just don't over tighten it. And of course all your Allen wrenches, pair of pliers. And let's get started. There's been discussions with people. I saw one guy saying that he wanted to take it to the car wash and power wash it. You really don't want water to get through that bearing right there. You really don't want water getting on your motor. There's all openings on here where there's bearings. Even inside this on each side, there's bearings in here, bearings there. There's bearings there. There's bearings up here. There's bearings in the front. You don't want water getting into your battery pack where your battery slides in. You don't want water getting in here. There's holes in places here where water will go. But I'll show you my technique, and then we'll turn it up and I'll show you other places you don't want to put water. My control box is inside here that plugs into the monitor. I've seen other ones outside. That's why I don't want water even getting through here. Through these, if water gets in here. So another guy talking about if he gets caught in a thunderstorm, could it be bad? And then there was another guy talking about he went mudding, he got mud all over his bike, and I believe that was the guy wanting to take it to the car wash and power wash it. I would avoid mud, first of all, and if you do get mud on it, just use a bucket of water and microfiber towel. Squeeze the microfiber out real good and wipe it down as best you can to get the mud off. Yeah, like I said, what I'm doing is I'll spray that blaster on here, the oil on this microfiber towel, and that's where I'm going to wipe this bike down. This bike is painted. I don't know how many other bikes out there that they're selling. I don't know if Moon Cool comes powder coated or painted, but this bike came painted. You can get into all these little areas. I'm just not a big fan of spraying the bike down. I wouldn't use WD-40. I would find something like what I showed you with a silicone in it, and you spray it. You don't want to get it on your brake calipers. Brake clean or alcohol, all that off there. What I'm doing is I'm just spraying it on here on the microfiber towel that I'll keep in a bag for further usage. Do the other fender, get back in here real good. Like I say, I don't know what other bikes, I don't know if they advertise powder coated or painted. They probably don't say, like this one didn't really say whether it was powder coated or painted. But now as far as spray waxes, you could use maybe a spray wax. But where I take this bike, I'm in a lot of salt, all of this stuff. You can wipe down everything with this. Get all your fender strip all in here. All back in here, more of the frame. I wouldn't worry about these. They have a coating on them that it's pretty strong. I don't want the bolts to rust. I'll wipe as much oil on them as possible. It's like if you have these bare, they're gonna rust. Get all underneath here. Now this goes on kind of dull, but I'm gonna wipe it off with a dry microfiber. Put a little bit more on there. Spray it away from your bike so you don't accidentally get it on the calipers. Do my front, all along here, all along this, all on the sides, all up in here, your brake, on your pedals. Don't put it on your not the piece you step on. And I'm going to show you in a minute how I stand it up so we can get the bottom of it. And when it comes to the chains, I'm going to show you what I did there too. What I do. You don't have to. You've invested some money in this Trike, so you want to keep it. I don't want it to go bye-bye. This thing is great. This bike has really done me well. Getting around the neighborhoods, places I can't walk to anymore. That's why I bought this bike. I didn't buy it to save the world. I bought it to get places that I just can't get to anymore. Now let's go on to the chains, how important the chains are. See, there's some flex back and forth here. The chain itself doesn't stretch, barrels that wear out. And what I did is I bought a bag full of extra links with the snap that goes on the outside of it. And I'll keep that with it. If that chain breaks or loses that snap off there and comes undone, I'll be ready with the snaps and an extra chain, just in case I don't get caught somewhere. And that's another thing about these bikes. If you're going to go out somewhere, there's not a lot of people, somewhere deep in a park or trails, it's best you know somebody with a pickup truck or something that can come get you in case something happens. Otherwise, you'd probably have to call 911 to come figure out some way to come get you and the bike. With your trike, there's one thing I want you to really pay attention to, is how close the power cable. This cable with the spring on it is what feeds the motor. Look how close it is to that chain. I mean, it's right there. You can actually see me moving it right there close to it. It's not hitting it, but it's real close. And actually, I have a photo of it whose chain came off, whether it was slipping over these gears or not. That's one thing you don't want to do, is let this chain, I'll show you the tension I have on mine with this screwdriver, if you can see it. That's all I put on it. It's just about fully tightened. And the same goes with your pedal chain. That's where I leave it, right there. If you allow this to get too loose without adjusting the tensioner, this chain could start ripping, gliding over the teeth. If they tear these teeth up, I actually was on the phone with Electric and asking them where they got these gears from. And of course the guy's gonna say, he doesn't know, because I think maybe they came off a cassette. If you know what a cassette is, it's the 5 gears that are on other trikes where you can change the gears. You have, I forget what they call a piece that hangs down at the bottom, I'll think of it. But there's like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. They may have gotten this off here. He wouldn't answer the question to where they came up with that. Probably because it's overseas, all the manufacturing data on this. They didn't have the data on hand, but everything I asked him about this trike, he went on to say, if there's a problem, take a picture of it, send it to us, and we'll warranty it out. Now, my bike's a couple years old now. I will say one thing about electric. They answer the phone, and they have batteries. They have all the accessories ready to go, which tires, wheels, rims, fenders, anything you need. Like I say, my tires came bent, and I had tires and rims just like this. These are the replacements they sent me, and within 2 weeks I had them. So that was pretty awesome. I do like electric a lot for answering their phone call. I'm going to stand it up here in a minute and show you some other stuff. There's another thing I wanted to discuss about the battery. This is my battery right here. I have this sticker off this. That would be nice if they put a temperature on. That sticker came off this. I'm going to put this on my bike. As a matter of fact, these Lacrosse technology temperature and humidity stations are one of the best ones I've found. I buy these in like 4s and 5s and put them all over my house and other places. And other ones I've bought never matched up with the other ones that I had. I've bought 4 of these and they all matched up. Very correct about their temperature and humidity. There's the switch on electric. One thing I noticed about this battery is they're numbered. I wonder, I have numbers on here, minus and plus. It shows the minus and plus and then 1, 2, 3. Curious if your batteries from Mooncool, especially the TK1, that everybody's having a hard time getting, and whether your mounting bracket here with the male inserts is the same. They all are about the same from what I've looked at. I wonder if this battery would plug into your trike. I guess it would be a matter of where these plug in. The 1, 2, and 3 goes to on your bike, like the pass, lights, torque sensor, and so on. This one doesn't have blinkers. It has brake lights and a front light, and then the brake cutoff where you pull the handle and it cuts off. Yeah, let me go ahead and stand this up and we'll look at some other things. What's really wild is that standing this up, it wasn't until I put this on here I found out that I could stand it up on it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. These out of the way. What you want to do is come over here to the right side. Here's your back brake. Your left is front, your right's back. Brake right here. Stand here, push back. Hold your brake. And believe it or not, it doesn't hit the fenders. and it rolls right back on to those pole holders I put on there, and it'll stay there, which is pretty nice. Now you can get to the underside and see a whole lot more stuff. When I bought this bike, it wouldn't go backwards, and I think what happened is your bracket here is welded on, so I took a hammer and I hit it inward, and it was fine. It wasn't lined up correct. If you can get your bike up like this and look and make sure your chains, that's real important, so you don't lose this off, this gear, that these are all lined up correctly. Look down it, you'll see, look straight down it, and you'll see if it's off. Real important, if it doesn't go backwards like this, it needs to be aligned. Whether you take this off and bend it with something one way or the other, I hit it with a hammer like twice. I don't like this hole. I think eventually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a mud flap on here that comes down lower. I really don't like the water splashing up in here at all. And that's where a lot of this comes from. And there it is again, you take your oily rag, even if there's dirt on here, you wipe it off first, one or the other. Now you can get to a lot of good cleaning. Spin it around, take a look at it. I like putting oil on these cables. What I might eventually do for the bearings back here, I may make a leather cover that I can attach with a snap tie, and that'll come out here to just about hit the side of the wheel. Oops, sorry, it's not there. Then I can put here a piece of leather. I have leather scraps that I got years ago. Find one thin enough that you can wrap around this and cut it long ways, and just long enough to where it comes over this and just about to the side of the wheel, and zip tie it on there with the seam here at the bottom. Point, with the seam at the bottom, maybe close that off from getting a bunch of junk in it. Because I saw a guy that the axle snapped off here and it was all rusted to where he had let so much water get in here. It'll get inside this tube. It rusted and broke the axle. That was crazy. I don't know if you can see it, but you see how clean that rotor is? If you have a bunch of dots, particles on this part of the rotor, it has to be cleaned off. You probably need new brakes. Don't let them get gummed up. It gets gummed up and makes a lot of noise. And as far as cleaning the tires and all that, I'm not really worried about all that. Oh, a special shout out to Julie Young, who had asked the question about the maintenance on these. And then another guy, Charles Smith, jumped on wanting to see a video on how to do all this. Same thing with the air again. Don't spray it directly in here because it could drip on your rotors. Is to take that paintbrush with the oil on it and paint it in there and clean it off and blow it into a rag behind here, not on the rotors. Try and not touch your rotors at all, especially with silicone. That's hard to get off. And if you do get it on there, use your brake clean with a rag or alcohol and rub your rotors. Don't ride it yet. Let's see, what else can I cover? That's a little loose. I will adjust that better. I don't like that at all. I want it to just move. And that's really not bad. It looks sloppy doing that, and I believe I can adjust it a little bit more. I'll do that when I sign off. This is the original chain. Now, I don't pedal a lot. I use my motor more than I do pedaling. Now I do pedal, and that's another thing I'm getting at. If you do have the cassettes on here and the derailleur, that's what it is, you're looking at a whole lot more work to have to take care of. Adjustments, make sure they stay fine, and it really, the derailleur, the piece itself that guides it sticks way down here, and I was worried about that, maybe running it into sand or dirt, or even if you go through high grass, it can get wound up in that gear that's on your adjuster. Even there, you could watch, these have guards, but that's nice. You don't want it. I just didn't like the whole idea. This bike has done me exactly what I wanted it to do. I cannot complain. Plus, the customer service has been great. This bike was $1,400, and then I think in the end, I ended up paying close to $1,600 with all the baskets and accessories. And I spent a little bit more on the seat, mirror, little other accessories that you're going to want to do, but I can't overemphasize. And getting a pancake compressor with a little spray nozzle you can pick up at the hardware. And then here's your air adjuster. I mean your air filler. that you just pop on and off, and you can really just pow, pow, hit it real quick. And what I use to check my pressure, I bought this years ago. It's a Moroso. It comes out of Jegs. It's an Auto Parts Racing swivel end, and it also has a button on here that if it's too full, you hold this part on your wheel, hold this part on there, and push this little button, and it allows the air out, which is really nice. And another thing I'm going to try and cover is, you guys, if you're getting a new bike and they don't send you Loctite, this is the one you want. You should be putting that on all your little screws that tighten on to your fenders. All the little screws that go everywhere. Put a little dab of this, let it sit for a minute, and put it on your bike. And as far as lubricants go for my chain, after I clean that chain with the brake clean, and blow it out with that air. That's the key, is blowing it out with that air. Have a piece of cardboard at the bottom that you can get rid of. Let it sit after blowing it out, brake clean. Let it sit and dry out real good in the sun before you add your lubricant. And this is the one I found. Like I say, I'm not sponsored on any of this. Finish Line dry lubricant, because I'm not riding this bike in water. I try and avoid water altogether. Rainy days, all that good business. I'm not doing it. I just don't want this bike getting soaking wet. I don't want to get caught somewhere in a thunderstorm, so I'm limited to where I can get out and go. But I do get out and go. That's what's really nice about these, is getting out and going. Let me put it back down. I'll show you how easy it is to get back. There it is again. This is your brake on the right side. Hold the brake, pull this down to where the wheels hit, and hold on to the basket and hold on to your brake and just let it down just like that. There you go. Let's see, I don't have my tape measure out here, but you can do, I don't know what the size of this is. I mounted it here because I have surf rods, and I was worried how long the surf rods so they didn't hit the sand. And I guess I mounted it just correct. You can kind of gauge it by looking where your reflector sticks out, and something you can put down on the ground. Try a couple 2x4s and just slowly wheel it up so it doesn't hit your fenders, and put it on there, and it'll stand up for you. And like I said, you could store it that way. Actually, if you're storing it all winter long, you probably want to do that so your tires don't get hard spots in them. I kind of worried about that when it came to the Tannis inserts. Sitting on those inserts that long may have made a hard spot, but they do come back. That bike's clean now. I'm not worried about the tires. You can do that with water, with a microfiber towel, and rinse it out. Squeeze the water out and slowly do it with soap and water. Just don't drench it. Get all that water down into those spoke holes, because that can rust. That water gets in there and rusts. Even though there's tape around there, it can still rust out. I hope that this has helped out a little bit. I want to thank Mimi Howenstein, Darlene McL, Starklink 13, and Guinea Becca Gulupi, and Jim W. for subscribing. I'm at probably 500 subscribers right now. I think when you get to 1,000 subscribers, you start getting paid a little bit money because they force you to watch the ads. Whatever. I don't know. My daughter's a YouTuber. I get all this stuff from her. But I think what I'll do is, once I get making a little money off this, what I'm going to do is give back. You know, I make $10, give 5 of it away. Maybe every quarterly or monthly for subscribers, pick a name out and give away maybe a mirror, a bag, a coolie, some accessories here and there, whatever. Those thermometers, they're like $8 a piece. Those are the best I've found, those lacrosse ones. Gauges, that's what I plan to do, is once I get to 1,000. So I hope this has helped a little bit on this. Other than that, the maintenance, there's really not, just feel your tires when you've got it up in the air, especially the front one. Wiggle it back and forth. Make sure there's no play. Make sure there's no play in the back. And keep an eye on those chains. Replace that drive chain and keep up with your tensioners. And remember that. You've got to remember that, not let this get loose. There's just a little play there. Yeah, and keep it away from that power cord where that spring is. Make sure your cables stay connected and pulled in all the time. Other than that, I don't know what else you can really do to these to keep maintenance on them. But I guess what I'll do now is just sign off, and thanks a lot for watching this video. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.